Kenny, sir?
Yes, sir.
Very much, sir. Please.
Good to go, sir. Are we good
Yes,
to go?
please. Please.
Sir. Yes, hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us for this, comprehensive live orientation program on Fulbright Fellowship, entitled as Opportunities through the fully funded 2022-23 Fulbright Fellowships, organized by the IQAC cell and Department of English of Soundarya Institute of Management and Science, Bangalore, in association with USIEF India and Fulbright organization. My name is Hanman, and I'm extremely pleased to extend a cordial welcome to all the participants, particularly the professors, the research scholars from universities across India, and most importantly, to all the dignitaries here. It's my pleasure and honor to welcome the esteemed speaker, Ms. Maya Sundararajan, Regional Officer, United States India Educational Foundation, Chennai, India. I extend a warm welcome to Mr. Ketan Kumar, CEO of Soundarya Institute of Management and Science, Bangalore, Dr. Suresh Hegari, Principal, Soundarya Institute of Management and Science, Bangalore, and Professor Shukmar Ganachari, IQAC Coordinator and Head of the Department of English, Soundarya Institute of Management and Science, Bangalore. Once again, I welcome all the dignitaries. Speaking about Fulbright Fellowships, as we already know, Fulbright Fellowship is one of the most prestigious fellowships offered by the USA government to the citizens of its own country and also to the citizens of many other countries to study, to research, and also sometimes teach in the USA. The main aim of this fellowship is to have a mutual exchange of knowledge and also cultural intricacies between the USA and other countries across the world. Before I proceed further, I'd like to inform all the participants, that there will be a question and answer session with the kind permission of the speaker. And therefore, I request you all to keep your notes and questions handy to be asked at the right time. Now, of course, we're all excited to listen to the speaker. But before that, I would like to request Professor Ganachari, sir, to introduce the guest speaker to the August gathering here. Over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for giving welcome the dignitaries and distinguished members. See, it's my pleasure and it's a great honor to introduce Madam to this August gathering. See, Madam has more than 20 years of experience at different capacities. She has also worked under the British, the Deputy High Commissions and exchange between countries, then the wide range of areas, including education, promotion of bilateral trade, investment, and arts management through her work at the United States India Educational Foundation, British Deputy High Commission, and at the British Council in Chennai, India. Maya oversees the American and Indian Fulbright and Fulbright Nehru program in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Karnataka, Pondicherry, Andaman and Nicobar, and Lakshadweep Islands. She also manages the Education US program in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Pondicherry, which involves promotion of US higher education and providing guidance to Indian students interested to study in the US. Madam, a warm welcome, and I request you to take over the session.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the dignitaries from the Soundarya Institute of Management and Sciences for initiating this conversation. And I hope today's presentation will help you understand how you could work, how all of you faculty could work with our organization and benefit from the fellowships that we offer. I'm going to share my screen. So today's session, I will focus about what our organization does and how each of you could benefit from our organization and how you can make use of our organization for your academic purposes. So what does our office do? So we manage the our office is called the US India Educational Foundation, USIEF, and earlier we were called the USIFI. So those old timers still sometimes remember us as USIFI in those old days. But we've been rechristened as United States India Educational Foundation. So what do we do? One of the main things that we administer is the Fulbright program. The Fulbright program was established in 1946, right after World War II, to enable American citizens to travel around the world and to understand the world and come back to the US and to share their experiences. And similarly, also to enable foreign people from other countries to come to the US, to live in the US, to do research in the US and understand the US and take this knowledge back to their respective countries. So the person who founded the Fulbright program is Senator William Fulbright. He was a politician in the US government, and he worked really, strived very hard to establish the Fulbright Fellowships. So the fellowships are named after him. And his objective of establishing the Fulbright Fellowships is that he felt that a large academic and a cultural network around the world will really will build peace and better relationships, will build better relationships between Americans and people of other countries. And that was really the start of the Fulbright program. And now, after many, many years later, we function in many hundreds of countries around the world. About 400,000 scholars have benefited from the program. And every year, about 8,000 grants are given worldwide annually. And in India, about 20,000 fellowships have been given out for people, for Americans to come to India, for Indians to go to the US. So what does our organization do, and how can you benefit from this? Our office was established through a treaty between the Government of India and the Government of US, and we were established in 1950, primarily to administer the Fulbright program. Having said that, obviously running the Fulbright program is really one of the main things that we do. But apart from that, we also enable dialogue amongst Indian Fulbright scholars and American Fulbright scholars who are already on the program. We engage Indian Fulbright scholars with other Indian institutions. When we bring American scholars to India, we also enable these American scholars to travel around India, give lectures, run workshops, share their knowledge with many other Indian institutions, in different parts of India. So so these are the two big segments of the work we do under the Fulbright program. So essentially promoting research and research collaborations and building cultural ties between the two countries is the essence of what we do under the Fulbright program. The third aspect of what we do is called the Education USA program. Now, this is something completely separate and distinct from the Fulbright program. Both the funding streams are different. Education USA is fully funded by the government of US. The Fulbright program in India is partly funded by the government of US and the government of India. So that's why some of the fellowships are called the Fulbright Nehru Fellowships or the Fulbright Kalam Fellowships. Some other fellowships which are funded only by the government of US are just called the Fulbright program, Fulbright Fellowships. The Education USA program is something completely different. Now, this is funded only by the US government, and this program is aimed at Indian students, undergraduates and postgraduate students or high school students who wish to go and do their higher studies in the US. So under this, there is no funding, but we provide advice to students. We give guidance on applying to US universities, how to draft applications. We have a membership scheme where students can become a member and take advice from us. So we are very different from many of the private agents in the field. There are obviously many private counselors and agents. In the sense, we are impartial. We do not represent any one US higher education institution. We represent the entire US higher education system as a whole. So we are the official source of information providers about US higher education system itself. In Chennai, so we have under Education USA, again, we have offices around India. And if there are students from around India, we can put you in touch with your respective home city Education USA advisor or center. And what is the fourth aspect of what we do is promoting dialogue between US higher education institutions and Indian higher education institutions. Now, how do we do that? We do that through conferences. We do that through our own certain projects that we manage. So it really depends on the funding that we receive from the governments. We manage these scholarships and conferences. So for example, right now I'm working on something where we hope we can do a program on how Indian institutions can host foreign students on their campus. So, we come up with these ideas where it will be mutually beneficial for Indian institutions and US institutions, and which aims to promote the better relationship between and to bring in a synergy between US and the Indian higher education system. So we do that as well. That depends on the kind of funding that we have in that particular year and the kind of resources, but we try and do that through many of our programs. So that's what we do in a nutshell, the range of US higher education activities. So what do? We have many different fellowships that we have to offer. So whichever stage of the career or your research path that you're in, probably there is one fellowship here that would benefit you. So I will go through all of the different sets of fellowships that are available. Just to give you an overview, these are the range of fellowships that we have on offer, starting from Master's Fellowship, Doctoral, Postdoctoral, Academic and Professional Excellence, Climate Fellowships, and International Education Administrators Program, the Hubert, Humphrey, which is meant for policymakers, and we also have fellowships for teachers as well, school teachers as well, and also short-term teaching grants like the Scholar in Residence Program. So I will go through all of these very quickly one by one, so you can ask me questions later. So how competitive are our applications? Our application cycle is very, very competitive. We receive applications from around India. We receive about 1,500 to 1,000. Last year, we received about 1,700, close to 1,700 applications. And about 8 to 10% of our fellowships are awarded the grants. So you can imagine how extremely competitive some of our fellowships are. Having said that, I think it's all about the quality of application that you put in and the reason that you wish to go and do research in the US. And also, for example, every year we give about 100 to 120 awards, and each year it depends on the fellowships, the grant that we have, and the number of people who apply and the range of time frame that they wish to go and do research in the US. So it's a very complex permutation and combination by which we manage the funding fellowships itself. So what are the prerequisites for applying for a Fulbright program? Of course, what we expect is a very high level of academic and professional excellence. We expect people who are applying for the fellowships to be leaders in their discipline, or at least rising stars in their respective fields. So that is what we look for, these kind of really the stars in that particular discipline. Proficiency in English language, and if they are employed, then their application must be routed through their employer. In the sense, there must be a supporting letter from the employer which states that if they are given the grant, they will be given leave to travel to the US, or they will be given leave with pay to travel to the US for the research purposes. The other very important objective is that this fellowship is meant to benefit Indian citizens who wish to go to the US, do short-term research, and come back to India and contribute to their home institution in India and contribute to India as a country through their research. So the preference will be given to people who've not. The applicants must not hold residency in the US. They must not be US citizens. They must be Indian citizens living in India to apply for this grant. Also, preference, the idea is that this fellowship is meant for people who've not had the chance to go to the US to do research, or people who've not had extensive travel experience outside India as well. So while everything is being equal, preference will be given to people who've not had extensive travel experience, or who've not experienced the US research environment or travel to the US. But of course, research proposal really has to be very strong. Everything depends on the research proposal that is being put together. So we will come at first fellowship is the Fulbright Nehru Masters Fellowship. Now the Masters Fellowship, I know the deadline is already gone past this year, but I want to say that every year our fellowships are announced in February of every year, and at least by end of Jan or early February, our fellowships are announced, and the deadlines will usually be from May, June, July. It's kind of tiered deadlines, and each fellowship will have a different deadline. So, but generally the Master's Fellowship, these are all the fields you can see that are eligible for people who want to apply for a Master's program in the US with 3 years of professional work experience in a similar field. They can apply for this fellowship. So up to 2 years, your entire funding to up to $80,000 to go and do your Master's in the US is fully funded. Whether it is, the fields, eligible fields of study are listed here. So arts and culture management, economics, environmental science, higher education, administration, international affairs, international legal studies, journalism and communication, public administration, public health, urban and regional planning, women's studies, and gender studies. So these are all the broad areas. And as long as the field, the master's discipline, the program in which you wish to go and do your master's falls under any of these fields, or if it is interdisciplinary touching on any of these fields, and if you have 3 years of professional work experience, you can apply for the fellowship. So that's the master's fellowship. The next one is a Fulbright Nehru Doctoral, Postdoctoral and Academic and Professional Excellence Fellowship. Now, for all of these 3 fellowships, the eligible fields of discipline, the eligible fields of study are common, and these are all the ones that are listed on the website. That's listed on the screen are the ones that are eligible. Now, I have to say that whatever your research topic is, irrespective of which department you belong to in your college or in your institution, whatever your research topic is, your research topic has to fall under any of these disciplines, or it has to be interdisciplinary touching on any of these disciplines. So if you think your research topic falls under any of these disciplines, you're welcome to apply for the Fulbright fellowships. So as you can see, these are very, very broad areas, and if it touches on any of these topics, then you're welcome to apply. The Fulbright Nehru Doctoral Research Fellowship. Now the deadline for this is 15th of July 2021. Now, this is meant for those who are registered for a PhD in India, and those who have, so you should have registered at an Indian institution for your PhD on or before November 2nd, 2020. Now, under this program, if you wish to go and do part of your PhD research in the US, you can apply for this funding. So you will get your PhD degree only from the Indian institution, but this gives you an opportunity to do part of your research in the US. The only thing is that the research topic has to fall under one of the eligible fields of discipline that I had already listed earlier. Plus, the reason for you to go and do your research in the US must be clear. I mean, there must be really what your research topic, maybe it could be a comparative study of a particular discipline between India and the US. Or maybe you want to go and work at a particular research lab in the US. Or maybe there's a particular expertise that you want to learn, which is only, which maybe a particular American professor is really an expert on, or he specializes in that particular research methodology. So all of that, so whatever it is that you cannot do through internet research or by by online research, and the fact that it requires you to be physically present in the US to do that research or learn that particular aspect of your research topic, you can apply for the program. I mean, you can apply for this particular funding. Research fellowship. So this allows you to go and do the part of your PhD research in the US from anything up to 9 months. It could be anything from 4 months to 9 months. The next one is a Fulbright Nehru Postdoctoral Research Fellowship. Now this is meant for faculty of research scholars who finished their PhD in the last 4 years. So you should, if you finished your PhD in the last 4 years, and if you're an early career research academic, you're welcome to apply for the Fulbright Nehru Postdoctoral Research Fellowship. Again, your research topic must fall under one of the eligible fields of study. And this particular funding gives you the opportunity to go and do research in the US, anything from 8 months to 24 months. So this deadline for this is September 15, 2021. So there is still plenty of time. And again, postdoc research in the US, we still expect you to come back to India after that and contribute to your institution in India. So this is a fully funded research opportunity that is available for you to make use of. The next one is the Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Fellowship. Now this is, again, application deadline is July 15, 2021. Now this is meant for senior faculty who wish to go and teach or do research in the US, or who wish to do a combination of teaching and research in the US. Again, this allows you to go and do research in the US, anything from 4 months to 9 months. So you could choose that you will do research for 1 semester and you will teach for another semester, or you can just go and do just a research for 1 semester, or do teaching for 1 semester. So this fellowship allows you to spend considerable amount of time in the US, and while you are there, We do hope that you are looking for partnerships to develop with your host institutions in the US or other institutions in the US. So while these fellowships are aimed at enabling you to go and do your research in the US in certain fields of study, we also hope that this is an opportunity for Indian institutions to develop long-term ties with host institutions through your academic collaborations. Now, under this particular category, we also recognize that there are some senior faculty who cannot take entire 4 months or 9 months out of their busy schedule to go to the US. So we've introduced a flex award where you can break your fellowship into 2 segments, and you can go to the US, let's say for 2 months, another 2 months, or 3 months, another 3 months. That's or 1 month and 4 months. So it really depends on your research, your schedule, the research topic, and also your host institution in the US. And then we have the Fulbright Kalam Climate Fellowship. Now, this is meant for climate-related research. So these are very broad fields that we have set. Ideally, the idea is that anybody doing climate-related research will be eligible for this. And broadly, we've said energy studies, earth sciences, geology, environmental sciences, renewable energy, smart cities, agriculture, public policy, environmental engineering, and disaster resilience infrastructure. So under this Fulbright Kalam Climate Fellowship, we've again divided it into doctoral, postdoctoral, and academic and professional excellence fellowship. Similarly, under doctoral research, you will be eligible to do part of your research in the US, and you will still get your PhD from the Indian institution under these fields of study. The postdoctoral research fellowship, again, you will be able to, under this, you will only under the Fulbright Nehru, the different fields of study are different, and the duration of research allows you up to 24 months, that is up to 2 years. Under Fulbright Kalam, it's up to 12 months, and only under the climate-related research. And under academic and professional excellence fellowship, very similar to the earlier one, this again allows you to go and do your research or teach in the US. The next category of fellowship, this is the Fulbright Nehru International Education Administrators Program. Now, this is meant for faculty who are working on international relations, who are enabling international ties for their institution with US institutions. Now, what we realized is that a lot of Indian institutions want to have those ties with US institutions, whether it is faculty exchange, student exchange, or setting up a study abroad program or semester abroad program. But we find that some institutions in India, have not had the exposure to understand the US higher education system and structure, so that they are unable to establish those collaborations with US institutions. So keeping that in mind, we've established this 2-week program. So this is not a research fellowship. Now, this is meant for people who are in the international offices of Indian institutions. And if you wish to go to the US just for a 2-week program to understand the US higher education system, so that you can come back to India and make an informed decision about how to move forward on setting up collaborations with your US institutions, you can apply for this particular program. So this is almost like a 2-week tour of US higher education system, where you will sit in lectures, you will understand US higher education system, how they are funded, how do they do their research, how do they establish collaborations, and also meet key individuals in different US higher education system, US higher education institutions. So this is just a 2-week program, and the application deadline for this is October 14, 2021. The next fellowship we have on offer is the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship Program. Now, this is again a very, very different kind of a grant. It's a 10-month intensive program which is meant for policy makers from around India. So we have IAS officers applying for it. We have IPS officers applying for it. We also have grassroots level NGO workers applying for it. We have journalists applying for it. So anybody who is influencing public policy and public opinion, this is influencing major change, societal change in India. They will be and if they are working in any of the fields specified in these disciplines, you are welcome to apply for the Fulbright for the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship. Now, the fields of study are given as agriculture and rural development, communication, journalism, contagious and infectious diseases, economic development, education administration, public policy, finance, banking, higher education administration, HIV, human resource management, international religious freedom, law and human rights, natural resources, environmental policy and climate change, public health policy and management, public policy analysis, public administration, substance abuse, education, treatment, and prevention, teaching of English as a foreign language, teacher training on curriculum development and education, technology policy and management, and trafficking in persons policy and prevention, and urban and regional planning. So as you can see, these are very, very broad areas. So if you think you qualify under any of these fields, and if you wish to, if you've done work, if your work is in any of these fields, you can apply for this Hubert Humphrey Fellowship. You don't need to have a PhD for this particular program, but we do expect professionals who are senior professionals or mid-career professionals with experience to apply for this program. It's a very intensive 10-month program. In fact, it's very prestigious. The fellowship certificate is actually signed by the President of the United States. So you can imagine the competition that is involved in applying for these fellowships. And then we have the Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistantship Program. Now, this is meant for young English teachers, or those who are training to be English teachers, who also have fluency in Bengali, Hindi, or Urdu. So the expectation is that they will go and learn about English teaching in the US at a US university. But while they are learning about English language teaching, they will share their own proficiency in one of these languages at these US institutions. So it's like an exchange of languages. So the Indian applicant will go and teach Bengali, Hindi, or Urdu at the US university, and they will also learn English language teaching at the institution. So again, we don't receive many applications from South India, obviously because of the language. None of the South Indian languages are included in this. But we do hope that in case any of you have proficiency in these languages, please apply. And if you are an English teacher or training to be an English teacher. So what does the grant benefit? How does it benefit you? This is a fully funded program. So that is another big benefit, so that Indian institutions who are allowing their faculty to go to the US to do their research, they are, if one of your research scholars or your professors get this fellowship, there is no funding required from the Indian institution. You only have to give them permission, to go to the US to do their research. They get a monthly stipend. Everything is covered. So a monthly stipend will cover their living expenses in the US, and they will be able to spend time in the US doing their research. Any allowances, anything that they require, like their insurance will be covered, their airfare is covered. And in case it is for a master's program, then their tuition, everything is covered. So this is a fully funded program, which allows you the kind of flexibility and freedom to continue your research in the US, to stay and do your research, or teach in the US and get benefit from that experience and bring that back to your Indian institution. So what is the timeline involved? As I said, everybody has their own, everybody has their personal and professional lives planned out. And this year, I know it's been a very difficult year in terms of international travel, but whichever year you're interested in, I just want to put out that every year the program is announced in February, and the application deadline starts from mid-May to mid-October of that year. And the applications are screened by paper. The paper applications are looked at by subject experts from June to about December. And those who are shortlisted will be called in for an interview between August and February. It's all staggered because we are dealing with a range of fellowships. And those who are finally selected will be recommended to the US, to the Fulbright selection, to the Fulbright board as well. And once the final approval comes through, we also look at placing the scholars at the US institutions where they have already received an affiliation, or we help place them at the right institution. And then we take care of the visa, and the scholars head off to the US. So this is really the application cycle. So where do people go and do their research in the US? That is really the applicant's choice. You are the experts in your fields and in your research topics. So in your application, we expect that you do your research in advance, identify US universities which are undertaking research in your field of study, and where you think you will benefit by going and doing your research or teaching in the US. So that is a little bit of homework that we expect the Indian applicants to do. And in your application, you need to list out 3 institutions which may be potential host institutions for you if you are selected for the grant. And we also expect that the applicant do a little bit of homework, write to the US institutions and check if they're willing to host you if you were to get the fellowship. So if you have any correspondence with the US institution, we expect that to be attached along with the application as well. And if you do receive a letter of affiliation from a US institution, please make sure that you send it to us in advance or even after the application deadline, so that we can add it to your application, so that when you know that a US institution is interested in your research and is willing to host you in on their campus, that always gives you an additional edge, because we know that there is interest from the US in your area of research or on your research topic or in hosting you. Now, there are sometimes people ask, oh, I have not received any affiliation letter at all from a US institution. Can I still apply? Yes, you can apply. It does not disqualify you, but you still need to mention in your application with institutions in the US that you would like to do research and why. Because you need to do a little bit of background research, identify which university is doing research in your field of study. Maybe there is a professor you want to work with. Whatever it is, that reason has to be really strong enough for you to be able to go and physically do research in the US. And even if you don't get an affiliation letter, if your research proposal is really, really strong, and if you are selected, then it will be our responsibility to place you in one of the US universities you have specified, or we will find a suitable placement for you at a US university, which will help you fulfill your research objectives. So application procedure, mostly it's all online application. And how do you prepare, what are the resources to prepare your application? Everything, whatever I said now and much more is given on our website. So if you are interested in any particular category of fellowship, please go look at our website, read through the eligibility criteria in great detail, and please look at the fields of study. Please look at all the instructions, detailed instructions given on our website. And if you follow our instructions on our website, then you will be able to put together a good, clear application. We also run mentoring programs as part of our support to Indian applicants. The application mentoring program details are available on the USIEF website. So please go have a look at it. We're already mid-June, so we do have some upcoming mentoring programs coming up. Please look at our website for those details. And we also, if you know of Indian Fulbright scholars, or if you wish to go and look at the proposals that Indian Fulbright scholars, the previous successful applicants have submitted to us and who have got the fellowships, you're welcome to go and look at our website. And if you go click on the current scholars icon, you will see a list of scholars who have got our fellowship, a list of scholars who have been who've got the fellowship in the last 3 years. You can read their research topics, and you can also see which institutions in the US they have been affiliated to. So that is also a clue where you can start your research from there as well. You can also look at our USIEF Facebook pages, our Twitter pages for announcements. So please follow our US India Educational Foundation Facebook page and our Twitter pages, so that you get regular updates on our announcements. And we also have YouTube videos. We have the Indian Fulbrighters, Ambassadors of Change, where you can meet some of our Indian Fulbright scholars online, and they will talk about their experience in the US. That will also give you an idea. And one of the most important things is we do expect you to identify and do a research in identifying host institutions in the US. That's really, really key. How do you put together a clear research proposal? We expect that you will put together a clear research proposal which is very clear even to a non-academic. I have to say that some of our, obviously we have a subject experts across India and the US who will be looking at your paper applications. Having said that, we may also have non-subject experts looking at it. For example, there may be a Government of India official looking at it. There may also be an US government official looking at your application, because the funding is coming from both the governments. So there may be government officials looking at your application who may not have experience in your particular field of study. So you have to make sure that your application is very clear and precise, and without talking down, of course. It has to be very clear, and your larger picture must also be very clear. Like, what is your research topic? How will it benefit India? How will it benefit the US? How will it benefit your Indian institution? So all of that must really be clear in your application process. You must also specify why you need to visit the US. So that relationship, you must really make it clear, why you need to pursue your research in the US. There must be a real reason for you to be physically present in the US. Your research topic must be suitable, or the reason for you to go and do research in the US. You must explain that clearly in your application. You must also explain how you intend to finish your project within the specified time frame. If you have chosen that you will go to the US only for 4 months, then you must make sure that your project can be completed in that 4 months. If you have specified, let's say, 9 months or 24 months, depending upon the topic or the category of fellowship, then you must make sure that your research is practical and can be finished in that time frame. And you must also be very clear how your research topic, like you can't choose something completely unrelated now just because you want to go to the US. You can't suddenly choose a research topic which is related to the US. Your research history what your past research and your future objectives must all be connected, so that there must be some continuity in your research objective. And if you have correspondence with US institutions, please attach that. If you wish to go and teach in the US, now that's a completely different ballgame altogether. You must have a clear understanding of how teaching is done in the US, how the course curriculum is framed, and you must have a detailed discussion with the US institution which is willing to host you as a teaching scholar. And in this particular, especially if you wish to go and teach in the US, we do expect that you have to have a letter of affiliation where the US institutions agree to host you as a teaching scholar. Now, this is really important, especially if you wish to go and teach. Now, because we can't really force a US institution to accept you as a teaching scholar. So there must be some kind of a mutually agreed, some kind of a discussion that must be taking place between you and the US institution. So that must be submitted to us in the form of your correspondence or your letter of affiliation as part of your application process. And in your application to us, you must clearly outline the course, the reading materials, and how you intend to teach in the US, and what will be the outcome of your teaching. So all of this must be discussed with the host institution and put down in your application. Now, along with your application, we also expect that you submit 3 reference reports. These could be people who've known you professionally and who are willing to talk about your ability to go to the US and do research or teach or do a combination of both. And they must be able to talk about your academic and professional excellence. And they also must be able to talk about your cultural adaptability. That is really important. So the tip is that please make sure when you're asking people for reference reports, the reports come to USIEF directly. So please make sure that you choose people very carefully who will give you a good reference report. Because sometimes it does happen when we receive a reference report, we receive something completely different. We receive a negative report as well sometimes. Of course, we do make sure that we understand the context before we take those into account. So how do we select people? Our selection process is completely merit based. It is based on your academic credentials, your kind of research proposal you put forward to our Fulbright project, whether you have the capability to do research in the US, the need for you to go to be physically present in the US to do the research. What are the benefits that will come out of you being given the grant to go to the US and come back to India? How will it benefit India? How will it benefit the US host institution? Is there any kind of a synergy? And what are the long-term benefits that will accrue out of giving you the grant? So that kind of we are looking for those kind of inputs. Also, this is the funding that is given by both the governments. We also expect that the person who's going to the US is a good ambassador, cultural ambassador of India, and will represent India well in their, represent their state and their country well in the US. And the communication skills must be very clear, because you should be able to do research or teach in the US, and you must be committed to serving your community back in India. That is very, very important for the Fulbright program. So till now, I have covered everything about what are the fellowships that are available for Indian institutions. Now, just similar to that, like how you as Indian citizens can apply to us to go to the US, we also have a similar grant where US citizens, academic professors and faculty can come to India to teach. So your institution could be a host institution for a US scholar. And we have several programs, just like how we have for Indian faculty to go to the US. We have similar programs available for American citizens to come to India. So you could encourage your friends in the academic community in the US to apply for the Fulbright program, and you could give them a letter of invitation saying that if they were to get a fellowship, you are willing to host them as a on your campus, to teach on your campus, or they could do research on your campus, or they could do a combination of teaching and research on your campus. So this is again something that you can benefit from. So that's quickly in a nutshell about everything we do. Now, even if you are not a host institution, if you go and look at our website, USIEF website, you will see a list of American scholars who are in the country at any given point in time. Their research topics, their little synopsis about their profile, and their duration of stay in India would be given. And if you wish to invite any of them, let's say for a two-day seminar, or if you want to invite them, let's say we have a lot of scholars in Bangalore. You don't even have to go very far. A lot of them come to IIM Bangalore, or they come to IISc. So you could be inviting all of these people even to give short lectures at your institution, really, at no cost, because, they are funded by the program. Only thing is that their commitment, they have to be available. That's the only thing. And we can facilitate that. If you're really interested in, let's say, inviting somebody who's already in the country for a short workshop for your students, subject specific lecture, we can enable that to happen. Of course, as I said, during this COVID time, we do not have American scholars in India at present, but we hope we can start the program next year. And you can be in touch with us, and we will take those discussions forward. So I encourage everybody who is listening to this program to go look at our US India Educational Foundation, our Facebook page, look at our website, and follow us so that you will get regular announcements on our everything that's available, all our fellowships and all the opportunities that we put forward. We also do a lot of online workshops, and all of these are free. All you need to do is register, attend our lectures, and be part of it. So we have American faculty and professors or Indian alumni talking about their subject-specific, topics. So you are welcome to join our database. You just have to email us saying that you wish to be part of our database, and we will add you to our database so that you get regular updates. And you're also welcome to follow our Facebook page so that you just automatically see all our events and programs. About USIEF, we have our main office in Delhi. That's where our head office is. We also have other offices in Chennai, which is where I'm from the Chennai office. We also have an office in Calcutta, Hyderabad, and Mumbai as well. Chennai office, we manage the Fulbright program in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Pondicherry, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands as well. Yeah. So that's a quick overview of everything we do and how you could benefit by being in touch with us. Our email is given there, usief@usief.org.in. Please contact us if you have any queries, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have right now. Thank you very much for your patience and for giving me this opportunity to address all of you today.
Yes, so thank you very much, madam. Such a great session it was, for such a wonderful orientation. I also hope that many of the participants will get encouraged and apply for the Fulbright, set of fellowships there. I announce that this session is now open for question and answer session. I request all the participants to post your questions in the chat box, or if you have, you can ask them directly. Thank you. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Madam, good afternoon, madam. I'm Dr. Suresh Hegde, Principal of Soundarya Institute of Management and Science, madam. Thank you so much, madam, for giving an in-depth information about Fulbright Fellowship, madam. It was really wonderful. It was highly informative, and I hope after hearing your meticulous presentation about the Fulbright scholarships, some of our faculty members from Soundarya Institute of Management and Science will make an honest effort to use Fulbright scholarship for their research work in the days to come. Madam, I have one request to you. Can you arrange for an interactive session where US faculties and research scholars share their knowledge exclusively for the benefit of faculties and research scholars of Karnataka in association with the Soundarya Institute of Management and Science? Is it possible, madam? Can you do it for us?
We can do that. As I said, we do that very often. Like, for example, every year we bring about 80 to 100 American scholars into the country. So
Okay.
these scholars are available for lectures and for conferences. And we very often host these kind of knowledge sessions and workshops for students and for faculty as well. So we do a lot of faculty development workshops. Just that
Okay.
because of COVID, this year we do not have American scholars in India at present. We've not given any of those. We've not been able to bring them to India. But next year, we'll definitely continue to be in touch. And for next year, for sure, when we have, we're hopefully crossing fingers that everything calms down across the world and globally, when it all is in a normal situation, we usually bring these American scholars to India, and we can arrange those sessions for you, for faculty
Thank you,
and as
madam.
well as for your students. Yeah.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. My humble request is consider our earnest request, madam. Okay.
Sure, definitely.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
One question that I'm often asked is there any eligibility, like for example, age bar or age, limit for applying for these fellowships? I wanted to add that there is no age limit for any of our fellowships. What we expect is people who are active in their professional fields and who are able to go to the US and come back to India and contribute to India, to their institutions and to the society. I have to also add that while we don't have an age criteria, we do expect that people to come back to India and to be able to professionally contribute in India. Sometimes, there are even retired people who've been on our fellowship. So that's also happened, but that's also because they have proven that they are professionally very active even after their retirement. So that has to come through in your application. But ideally, yes, we are looking for people who are currently professionally engaged in their respective Indian institutions.
Yes, thank you, madam. I request all of the participants to ask their questions if they have any, or you can also post them in the chat box here. But one question I got from YouTube is here. I'd like to read it out for you, ma'am. The question goes like, it is asked by Professor Shashidhar T.M. and he says, can you guide me? I'm a lecturer in electronics, but my interest is in psychology.
Okay, so that's a little tough because both are completely different.
Okay.
It really depends on the, research topic. Now, if you are, what do you want to do your research on? If your research topic in some way connects both, which I'm not sure how that is really possible. But if you have done research extensively in psychology, in spite of the fact that you currently are working in electronics, if you're able to prove that, and if it depends on what you've done previously, what you've done in the future, and maybe if it is in a way related to how psychology also in some ways interacts with electronics, how artificial intelligence now so much is all interdisciplinary. It's up to you how you come up with a research topic and how you're able to frame that research topic. But importantly, there must be a real reason for you to go to the US, and your research topic has to be something that you've already done some work on, and how you wish to build your research, how you will to, something it has to, how you will build on it in the future as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I hope that answers the question to the participant there. Okay, very good. I have a personal question. I don't know, I'm going to be very negative about it, but I hope it is not so negative. I have a question that, like, would COVID kind of, discourage participants from India and other countries to apply for the set of, Fulbright fellowships?
I have to tell you that last year we had the same thing on our minds. But you won't believe we received actually a record number of applications last year. Maybe people have more time, that they are actually a little more relaxed now sitting at home because the pace of your work has slowed down. That has been the effect of COVID around the world in all our fields actually. So we have received actually more number of applications from Indian citizens for the fellowships last year. This year, of course, it is all, the application deadlines are all open, so we're waiting to see how that proceeds. But we are having record number of applications, and this year people are going to the US on the fellowships. So nothing has stopped. Last year, it was a little delayed, but people have started last year, and people have started leaving for the US this year now.
Okay. Yeah, definitely, ma'am. That's a good sign. I hope people keep learning and sharing their knowledge. Very good. Now, if there are no more questions, I would like to request Mr. Kirtan Kumar sir to share his presidential remarks. Yes, Kirtan sir, can you hear me?
Yes, and once sir is not there,
Yeah.
I think network is an issue.
Okay, please, sir.
We look forward the longer tie-up in the days to come. I think there's a one. Okay, that's what, Madam. We look forward in a longer tie-up for academic purpose with the US in Indian Educational Foundation. Thank you very much for being the part of the program, Madam.
Thank you so much. A pleasure. And thank you for initiating it and bringing everyone together. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.